Hey friends, welcome back to Faith It Till You Make It. It's the podcast where we're all just out here doing our best to follow Jesus, keep our peace, and not lose our minds in Target this week. The last two episodes of our podcast have taken our faith journey a little deeper. But with the holiday season upon us, sometimes depth is not in the cards for our faith journey. So today's episode is for everyone who has ever felt like their life is sprinting ahead while your faith is back there with a sprained ankle, wheezing, trying to keep up with the chaos. Because let's be real, some seasons are just so busy that our spiritual life feels like, Lord, I know you're speaking, I just haven't had time to hear you yet. And if you're like me in this holiday season, you are feeling chaotic, behind, spiritually foggy, or just straight up overwhelmed, then this one's for you. Let's start right where all the chaos begins, with the actual pace of our actual lives. Let me just paint a picture of a modern Christian life. Okay, it's my modern Christian life. I wake up, I'm already late for work, which is pretty bad considering I work from home. My alarm is judging me because I hit snooze a few too many times. I have 12 text messages that I haven't responded to in about a week, 8 work emails waiting in my inbox, my boss already sending me Teams messages, and my kids are fighting over the last muffin. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I hear the Holy Spirit whisper, "Come rest with me." Yeah, okay, beautiful idea. I would love to. How about 11:45 p.m., right before bed, as long as I don't fall asleep first? We've all been there. Life is going 90 miles an hour and our soul is just trying to keep the seatbelt on. Recently, I've been in my own 90-mile-an-hour zone. Work was getting stressful and I was managing multiple complex projects that meant meetings all day and competing priorities. By the end of a 10-hour shift, I would be so mentally drained. But at 5:30, didn't matter. I'd have to switch to mom mode. And between my own after hours commitments and our kids' extracurricular activities, evenings were just as busy. We had soccer on Monday, church on Tuesday, youth group on Wednesday, youth theater on Thursday, soccer on Saturday, and family dinners on Sunday. We basically had one day a week with no scheduled commitments just to catch up on life. I was living in full autopilot mode, but my autopilot didn't really seem to come equipped with any God time. So even though I'd be at church, my brain was still cycling through all the have-to-dos, and God had to share the space with my stress. But I could feel my spirit craving Him. I just didn't have the energy to focus or to make it happen. If I'm truly honest, a part of me likes being busy. I feel useful, but I think too much busy starts to drain the meaning out of my usefulness. It's not uncommon for us to get caught in the busy and start to feel a little guilty for putting God in the waiting room. And this is where the whiplash begins. Our schedules are demanding speed, but our spirit is needing stillness. Don't think it means you're failing. It just means you're human. And good news, God meets humans in real life, not our ideal lives. And that leads us into the next truth. Because if life isn't slowing down, then we need to understand the one who never rushes. Here's the thing that we have to remember in these frantic seasons. God doesn't move at our speed. He isn't rushing even when we are. I mean, think about it. Jesus walked everywhere, and not like speed walking championship style either. He just walked. And yet, he managed to change the entire world and our salvation. God's pace is patient and it's peaceful. And when our lives get busy, we become frantic because we are living at a pace that God never asked us to live by. But here's the truth. God's unhurried pace is not meant to frustrate you. It's meant to anchor you. Because if God matched our pace, our panic, or our urgency, He wouldn't be the God that we can trust. His presence would feel pressured and His guidance would feel conditional. But God is not now or never. He's patient and He's peaceful. The world makes our chaos, and God reminds us that there's another way to live in the chaos. His slowness is your stability. His steadiness is the thing that keeps you from falling apart when the world is testing your endurance. It's a reminder of the safety that we need to return to because God's pace protects our peace. We rush because we're afraid we'll miss something, but God doesn't rush and He never misses anything. And it's because His priorities are different. Your busy season doesn't intimidate God because He's not working on your timeline, He's working on your purpose. We live moment by moment, but God is focused on transformation. And transformation often happens in the small, slow, unseen moments that we try to skip because we're too busy trying to achieve what the world has asked of us. So be encouraged because the things that you're waiting on in this busy season, clarity, strength, healing, answers, they're not delayed. They're developing. God's working on it. We live in a culture that worships busyness, as if busy is the new important. We brag about exhaustion like it's some sort of achievement award. But the problem is, with that, we start measuring our worth by our productivity. God's pace intentionally keeps your worth and productivity separate. You cannot hustle your way into worthiness. It's not like God loves you more on your productive days and less on your I can't adult anymore days. God's unhurried nature means you already have His approval. So if God's pace steadies us, how do we actually access that steadiness when life just won't slow down? That's where micro moments come in. I get it. Some seasons genuinely can't slow down. We have young kids, we have demanding jobs, we have family responsibilities, we have financial pressures that don't just go away because we know Jesus. The beautiful thing about God's unhurried pace in those seasons is that it gives us access to peace within the chaos. Just because your life can't slow down doesn't mean your soul can't. And remember, urgent is not always important, and important is rarely urgent. And so when we stop assuming that everything is urgent, we create space for peace to find us. Sometimes the chaos is just loud and not actually urgent. But those micro pauses, like a stillness before walking into a room, whispering, Lord, be here with me, through a single breath, they're like spiritual tuning forks. They tune your heart back to God's frequency. We have to stop believing the lie that peace equals the absence of noise. Peace is really the presence of God in the noise. When I worked with high school students, I'd tell them, invite God into whatever you are doing. A simple prayer like, God, you are welcome here, before a game or a rehearsal, it helped them hear Him in everything. But even when we invite God into our day, there's another kind of chaos that we have to talk about. Sometimes it isn't even our schedule that's overwhelming us. Sometimes the most chaotic and busy thing in our lives is our own mind. There are days when my calendar looks completely manageable, like any normal human could survive it just fine. Yet I'm internally sprinting like I'm in the Olympics chasing after a gold medal. It's like that feeling where everything looks calm from the outside, but your thoughts are vibrating at a frequency that only dogs can hear. Sometimes our minds create a pace that our bodies are not living in. And that internal hurry, that mental chaos, it can make your spirit feel just as exhausted as hosting Thanksgiving dinner for the masses. But the beauty of God's pace is that He doesn't just slow your schedule, He slows your spirit. God speaks to our inner world, the invisible world, the nobody knows I'm in a downward spiral world. His pace becomes the antidote to our inner chaos. I had a season where I was very stressed and overwhelmed, and my husband was like, you need to be doing less. Say no to more things. Stop trying to do it all. But I like being busy. I can't help it. Until I finally broke. I entered a season where I just couldn't handle the busy anymore, and so I practiced saying no and committing to less. But guess what? I still felt overwhelmed. It was like I still felt chaos, but now I wasn't even doing the things that I enjoyed. Clearing my schedule didn't calm the storm. It didn't bring peace. And later I realized why. Peace doesn't come from clearing your calendar. It comes from clearing your internal clutter. And in that season, I stopped giving the mental weight of my world to God, and instead, I held on to it like I was the star of an episode of Hoarders. God said, "My peace I give to you." And I just tucked it away in the closet like I didn't need it. What gets me out of the internal chaos now is when I finally realize that I need to be saying to God, "Lord, quiet what is loud in me, settle what is spiraling, slow what is rushing. God, give me a quiet heart." Sometimes this mental chaos leads to emotional shame, and we think we should be doing more with God, being better spiritually, even in the busy seasons. But here's the truth. While we're talking about the things that happen inside of us, there's another part that we don't always say out loud. And that's the guilt that shows up in these busy seasons. Let's be brutally honest. When life gets fast, when we're overwhelmed, when our God time feels inconsistent or distracted, we start to feel spiritually behind. We feel like we're failing God, like we thought we were doing our best, but our best wasn't enough. But here's the thing. We confuse our ability with our craving. Your spirit is craving God because that's your design. But in some seasons, your capacity doesn't match your craving. And instead of giving ourselves grace, we shame ourselves as if we have disappointed God. But hear me out. God isn't disappointed in you. He's not grading you. You're not on spiritual probation. Your faith doesn't have to be perfect to be real. Your quiet time doesn't need to be Pinterest aesthetic to be meaningful. And your prayers do not need to be literally eloquent to be heard. Newsflash. God already knows your capacity and he meets you there. Not where you wish you were, not where your ideal self would meet him. He meets you where your tired, overwhelmed, stretched thin, trash bag moment self actually is. That is grace. Grace fills the gaps. Grace covers the days when you can barely form a prayer. And grace sees your intentions when your energy fails you. Grace is God saying, "Your best is enough because my strength fills what you can't right now." You are not required to do more than you can, and you're not required to be more than you are. You are not required to earn his love. You already have it. This is why God's pace matters so deeply. Even in the seasons when we can't slow down, it's not about the schedule. It's about your spirit. It's about your thoughts, your guilt, your overwhelm, and the grace that covers every messy, busy, imperfect part of our lives. You don't need a quieter life to find God's peace. You just need to let God's pace quiet your soul. Here's the beautiful thing. You don't need a different life to experience God. You don't need a different schedule or a different emotional state or a different season. You just need moments of alignment. God is already walking with you at the pace of your real life, not your ideal life, not your if things slow down life, not your when the holidays are over life. Your real, loud, busy, beautiful, chaotic life. And he's not asking you to catch up to him. He's inviting your soul to slow down just enough to notice that he's already right beside you. That's the invitation of this episode. Not to escape your life, but to walk with God inside of it. So this week's challenge is a two-parter. First is practice the micro moments. Whether it's reading a verse of the day on the Bible app, maybe it's pausing for 30 seconds before you enter a room, or maybe it's just whispering an invitation to God saying, "Be with me in my mess." Those tiny pauses will change everything when you're in the middle of the chaos. And then part two, Reflect on the grace that you experienced, because recognition happens through reflection. Take a moment to write it down, where grace saved you in your chaos, or where your 30 seconds of stillness shifted something in your spirit, or how matching God's rhythm gave you a moment of peace. Write it down just for yourself, or if you're feeling bold, share it with someone else. Give somebody hope by posting it on social media or throwing it in the comments here. We're not meant to do this faith journey alone, and sometimes a simple share is the reminder that somebody else needs. So if today was about the frantic pace of life, God's unhurried rhythm, the micro moments that control the spiral, and the chaos that we carry in our minds, and the grace that covers all the gaps, then let's remember that they all point to one truth. You don't need a different life to experience God's peaceful pace. You just need to let His pace steady your spirit in the life that you already have. You may not be able to slow your schedule right now. You may not be able to fix every stressor, and you may not be able to rearrange your entire world. But you can learn to walk with God inside of the life that you already have. Don't be afraid to invite Him into your chaos, because God is not overwhelmed by what overwhelms you. And He definitely isn't disappointed in what drains you. Just because He isn't in a hurry doesn't mean He isn't already walking alongside you in your own hurry. Hey, glad you're still here. One more thing for you. I wanted to make things easier for us to connect and for you to have one place that you can go for all the latest stuff that's happening with the podcast. So now you can go to faithitpodcast.com and see all the latest episodes, write a review, email me, and even join our newsletter that will update you on any new and exclusive content. Spotify is always the best way to listen and view the podcast, but for everything else, go to faithitpodcast.com.